going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing yet another Kiss bootleg vinyl haul. It's been about 6 months since I did my last one, and enough time has passed for me to amass a modest selection to showcase in a haul. But coincidentally, this isn't going to be any ordinary Kiss bootleg haul. Like the video is titled, it's called Kiss the Originals, the lineup that touched off a rock and roll explosion. And that means that all these bootlegs consist of the original lineup, and it's all from the 70s. So if you're an old school Kiss fan, you are going to love this haul, and believe me, I got some insane bootlegs to show you guys. So enough of the chit chat, let's jump into what this video is all about. First up is Varsity Stadium. This is a soundboard recording from Varsity Stadium in Toronto, Canada on September 6, 1976 during the Destroyer Tour. This is another one from a sort of series of releases that cover the notable soundboard recordings from the Destroyer Tour. So far, I have all of them, and this right here is the latest installment. The recording itself is phenomenal sounding. The bass and overall bottom end on this recording is so well rounded and solid. And the audience, while they are very faint sounding, when Paul does his stage raps, which requires the audience to shout out a song title, you can hear them in unison, and it is the absolute coolest thing. Now, the track list on the back cover makes it look like the show covers 4 sides of vinyl. But I was surprised when listening to it because actually the show takes up 3 sides, and the 4th side is given to some Destroyer era outtakes, such as the demo for Detroit Rock City, early versions of Great Expectations and Flaming Youth, Ain't None of Your Business, amongst others. Now, these outtakes have been bootlegged in the past, but have recently been released as part of the Destroyer Super Deluxe box set. And I did have a bootleg of the Cleveland 76 soundboard recording in the past that had the show on 3 sides, then outtakes on the other, which I ended up selling to get the more recent upgraded version. So it is nice to have some of those outtakes again on vinyl. But anyway, I digress. Packaging, though, follows suits of the other releases. We have a billboard promoting the show, and then we have the track list and credits on the back, along with some live shots of the band. And of course, as you can see, it does come with a nice obi, Japanese obi type strip. Gatefold jacket features a cool live shot of Gene, Ace, and Paul. And as always, there are all kinds of nice trinkets and extras with this release. We have a nice giant fold-out poster. Hope you guys can catch it all right there. Suitable for framing, of course. And then there is also a 20-page tour program type of booklet, which has ticket stubs and flyers promoting the show, along with a bunch of cool live shots and photos taken from photo shoots of the band from the time frame. Something that you can kind of sift through as you listen to this release. Absolutely beautiful looking. Now, I should say that the OB strips on these releases, the color of them indicates which color the pressings are, because there are different colored variants out there. But obviously, like you saw, since this one is blue, it does come pressed on blue vinyl. Next up is Second Kiss in Long Beach. This is an audience recording from the Calderone Concert Hall in Hempstead, New York on August 23rd, 1975 during the Dress to Kill tour. This is what you could consider a reissue, since Second Kiss in Long Beach is one of the notable early Kiss bootlegs known to exist. But to provide some context, there was another older bootleg called First Kiss in Long Island, which consisted of a show in Long Beach in 1974, and then vice versa for this. The recording itself is a bit rough sounding, but the performance is great. This show was a mere 2 weeks before it would be released, and the track list is pretty much lifted from that record. So this is a nice sort of rough sounding companion piece to the album. However, the full show is not featured here on this release, but the full show is indeed out there. What exactly do I mean by that? You'll have to watch the rest of this video to find out. Now, when I say that this is a reissue, it's more so a re-rendering, because obviously the artwork here is not exactly what the original 70s bootleg looked like. Very much updated with a cool outtake from the Alive photo session. Cool live shot of Gene and Ace on the back there. This does come with a nice glossy printed inner sleeve with some cool shots of the band from 1974. And this pressing comes pressed on orange vinyl. Next up is Diamonds in the Dust. This is a rather interesting release and one that has been on my radar for some time, and I'm so stoked to finally have it. This is a collection of various recordings that focus in on songs that were seldomly performed on certain tours. For example, there's Room Service from Palatine 75 during the Dress to Kill tour, Strutter from Memphis 76, a Rock and Roll Over tour, Lee's Waiting from Rockford 75 during the Alive tour, Flaming Youth from Jersey City 76 on the Destroyer tour, and Deuce from Evansville 78 on the Alive 2 tour. So these are very much songs that were perhaps initially appearing on tour set lists only to be phased out with time, maybe were performed on occasion, things of that sort. So it served as a sort of live odds and sods type release. The cover features a cool live shot of Gene, and here and on the back is directly lifted from the Alive 2 artwork. Another glossy printed inner sleeve of some cool shots of the band from 76 and 77. And this comes pressed as well on orange vinyl. Next up is Kiss Destroys Anaheim. Now, this is some classic Kiss bootleg territory here that kind of goes hand in hand with Second Kiss in Long Beach in terms of early classic Kiss bootlegs of the time, and this right here is certainly one of them. It's an audience recording of the famed show at Anaheim Stadium in California on August 20th, 1976 during the Destroyer tour. Now, the original Kiss Destroys Anaheim release comprises of pretty much the middle to end part of the show with a few songs missing, and then there was also Kiss Destroys Anaheim Part 2, which brought together the opening songs from the show and a few missing tracks. So between those two releases, you have the full show, and that's exactly what you get here with this release, sequenced the same way as those two early bootlegs. Now, while I do have the complete soundboard recording of this same show on vinyl and packaged the same style as the Varsity release that I showed earlier with the booklets and posters and such, I felt the need to get this audience recording version just for the historical sense of early Kiss bootlegs, but I also have a great story to tell with this particular recording. I remember once I was at a local record store and I had asked if they had any kind of cool notable Kiss pieces, and sure enough, they had an original Kiss Destroys Anaheim with the collared sheet, plain white jacket, funky labels and everything, and the guy that was working at the shop put it on the store turntable, and I was absolutely loving every minute of it. And then Black Diamond came on, and this is where you can sort of enjoy audience recordings for what they are. And while it is the most amateur sounding type of recording out there, you can get into the vibe of the audience on a given night, and I sincerely envy anyone that had the chance to grow up as a Kiss fan in the 70s, because during Black Diamond, when you listen to this recording, Paul is doing the intro, Peter taps the band to come in, the bombs go off, and you hear the audience losing their shit. And I swear, I had goosebumps when I heard that for the first time, and it was just simply hearing the magic of being a Kiss fan in the 70s and being a spectator of that. Something that I would give anything to experience. But anyways, enough of the fanboying. Aside from the Anaheim audience recording, there is also an added bonus since the show takes up 3 sides vinyl. And remember what I said about Second Kiss in Long Beach and how it wasn't the full show? The 4th side of this release is dedicated to the missing tracks from the Hempstead 1975 show. So between the two releases and having to hop from one to the other, you do have the full show. Now obviously, as you can tell, Gene has taken charge of the artwork for this bootleg. Some great live shots of the Demon on the front and back. This also features 2 nice glossy printed inners of live shots, not exactly live shots, but photos of the band from 76 going into 77. And this release comes pressed on purple vinyl. Next up is Happy New Year. This is an audience recording from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island on New Year's Day, January 1st, 1977, during the Rock and Roll Over tour. It's a decent audience recording. Overall, has the sort of boomy quality to it. The downside is that the recording cuts before the end of Black Diamond. And setlist-wise, this proved very much to be the standard setlist for the tour since it had gone through several modifications early on. Now, the show takes up 2.5 sides of vinyl, and then the remainder of side 3 along with side 4 consist of Rock and Roll Over tour rehearsals that were held at the Camp Curtis Guild Armory in Reading, Massachusetts on November 17th, 1976. Now, there are a few different recordings of these tour rehearsals out there, one of which was released on the Choppers and Chicks bootleg, but this one here has more of a roomy type of quality to it. And what's very cool about these recordings is that it features the band performing Love 'Em and Leave 'Em, a song which, if it was played live during the tour, it was only played once, but obviously the band considered it since it appears here, and they also shot a promo film for it, which aired on Don Kirshner's rock concert the following year. I like how it goes from Ladies' Room to Love It and Leave 'Em. It's like the two flow together narrative-wise, so maybe that was a coincidental yet clever set list placing. And you also get the band running through Hard Luck Woman, which was a song that didn't last to the end of the given tour. The artwork itself for this release is absolutely phenomenal. Features the Rock and Roll Over logo graphics and a cool shot of the band back with fireworks because, you know, Happy New Year. The Demon is featured here on the back side. Gatefold jacket features some awesome individual live shots of the band. There is also a rather nice fold-out poster, which has a black and white live shot of the band. This pressing is indeed limited to 500 copies. I have copy number 406, and the first LP comes pressed on orange vinyl, as you can see here. And then the second LP comes pressed on sort of clear vinyl with green splatter. Next up is Thunder Rock. This is technically a soundboard recording from Cobo Hall in Detroit, Michigan on January 27th, 1976 during the live tour. I say soundboard in the sense that this is simply an audio rip from the video that the in-house video crew captured that does circulate in the bootleg circles. Of course, the story goes is that Kiss did 3 consecutive nights at Cobo Hall in January 1976, and all 3 shows were documented on video. The show from January 25th was released as a bonus disc exclusive to Best Buy retailers with Kissology Volume 1. The show from January 26th was featured in the main feature presentation on Kissology 1. And then this show from the 27th doesn't quite circulate often. Some bits appeared in the Kiss My Ass video, but here is the full show, plus the Platinum Award ceremony that occurred on stage from the show on the 25th. Casino Records did a knockout job with this release by doing 4 different cover and color variants of each member and their respective color, and there was also a gold repressing, which were the same variants initially but with gold finishes, so they were basically variants of variants, enough to drive the utter complete insane. Obviously, as you can tell, I opted for the Ace version since I don't have many bootlegs with just Ace on the cover. It's usually Gene, so I kind of wanted to change it up. Cool live shot of the band featured on the back. Gatefold has a cool shot of the band along with a brief write-up about the show, as well as a ticket stub. And each member version was limited to 200 copies. I got copy number 25. Nice low number there. And as you would come to expect, since this is the Ace version, it does come pressed on blue vinyl. Next up is Providence 1979 First Night. This is an audio recording from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island on July 31st, 1979 during the Dynasty Tour. Now, the band did 2 nights in Providence from this tour, and both shows do circulate, and there is also another release out there that sort of complements this called Providence 1979 Second Night. The only downside with this release is that the song Love Gun wasn't captured onto tape, but between the 2 shows, this is the better sounding ones, so that at least makes up the deficit, sort of. Plus, it does stand out for being a document that has the final iteration of the Dynasty Tour set list, since at this point they had nixed the solo tracks Radioactive and Tossin' and Turnin' and reinstated Let Me Go Rock and Roll. The front cover has a cool retro kind of front with an awesome live shot of the band. The back includes some cool individual shots. There is a cool fold-out poster which promotes the 2 shows, which is pretty cool. Billed as the return of Kiss with that cool kind of cartoonish kind of graphic. And this comes pressed on sort of marbled lilac colored vinyl, and there is a nice nod to the Dynasty album with the replication of the Custom Center labels. Next up is Overkill Kabuki Theater. At this point, you're probably going to assume this is a trend, but this is purely coincidental. This is an audience recording from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island on August 3rd, 1975 during the Dress to Kill tour. 3 shows in total from Providence in this hall. For this show, they served as the opening act for Black Sabbath. God, that would have been a great show to see. So they performed a bit of a truncated set, and the intro from roadie J.R. Smalling is one of those sort of formative, off-the-cuff intros before the "you wanted the best, you got the best" intro went into full effect. This show is one of the best audience recordings to represent the Dress to Kill tour. The levels are nice and balanced, and the band comes across quite clear, and it's worth pointing out that there are 2 different sources that exist for this show. There's the Maloney source and the Lempinski source, both titled after the last names of the individuals that recorded the show, and according to my KISS Army comrade and hardcore KISS bootleg collector Pablo, what's featured on this release is the Lempinski source, which was recorded on a Sony TC 152 SD analog tape recorder with a Sony ECM99 stereo microphone. Figured that was worth pointing out. Now, Casino did 2 variants for this release with different artwork and colored vinyl. I opted for this one, which I felt was designed a bit better than the other one that's out there. Here's the back cover. Nice gatefold shot of the band here. This is limited to 400 copies. I have copy number 83, as you can see there. And this comes pressed on marble gray colored vinyl. Last but not least is Alive in Houston, September 1977. This is technically a soundboard recording from the Summit in Houston, Texas on September 1st, 1977 during the Love Gun tour. Very much in the same vein as the Thunder Rock release from Kobo 76, the in-house video crew filmed the band's 2 shows from September 1st and 2nd, and the audio was taken from the soundboard, so what we have here is another audio rip. Both shows have circulated in bootleg circles for years. I actually do own the September 1st show on a VHS tape that I got many years back, but the show from September 2nd is perhaps more well known since it was released as part of Kissology 1. The first show is visually darker and the second show is more lit, but both are great live documents of the Love Gun tour, and you really can't go wrong with them. This is a release from Vern Records, a great bootleg label that puts a great quality soundboard and audience recordings for a budget price without the bells and whistles of the more extravagant bootleg releases. Front cover features an era-appropriate stage shot of the band from 77. Nice sort of photo collage featured on the back. And the whole show does exist in complete form, but for the constraints of a single LP release like this, Rock and Roll Over and Black Diamond are missing, but it is still very much an enjoyable release with a rather cool custom center label. So there you guys go. That is my bootleg vinyl haul of Kiss the Originals, the lineup that touched off a rock and roll explosion. And I can honestly promise you, going into the rest of the new year, there is going to be plenty more Kiss bootleg content coming. And all I'm going to say is that we're going to dive into some picture discs next. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the record spinning.